All right. Hi, my name's Steve, and in this video, I'm going to share a couple things on how to avoid negative people, but also how to interact with them if you are going to, so it doesn't affect you. The reason I'm shooting this video is because I'm a person that for, a long time, I worked in jobs and around people that were just at negative places, right? Negative vibrations, which I'm going to talk about. And because of that, I had to learn ways to not only protect myself, but also how to avoid these people because they affect me, right? And by the way, you don't have to be around these people physically in order to affect them. You could be on the phone with them. They can be like on another continent. You can be on WhatsApp texting them. You could be, on a Zoom call and then be thousands of miles away and still be affected by their energy. And that's the type of people that I want to talk about and how you can protect yourself. So if you've been following any of my videos over the last, let's say, month or so, I've been talking a lot about how we create our own timelines, okay? And if you go back, there's one video that I did called Seeking Higher Vibrations. I'm going to put it up here. If you follow that video, you'll see that because we're vibrational beings, we're basically just energetic possibilities. Every time you change your energy, you change your timeline. When you change your timeline, you change the choices that you can make along that timeline, okay? And if you're, let's say, in a negative state, then I'm going to say that you're at a 2 hertz frequency. It's an arbitrary number, but at the end of the day, it's 2 hertz, okay? If you're in a neutral state where you don't feel negative or positive, then you're at 3 hertz. And if you're in a positive, ecstatic, happy, content state, feeling very peaceful but very content and appreciative, that's what I'm calling 5 hertz. Now let's say that you go through your meditation, you do your affirmations, and you're feeling great, okay? You could be even generally a happy person. But then you interact with someone who's negative. And what happens is that negative state can go one of 2 ways. Let's take this scenario first. Let's say that you go in, you interact with this person. They could be a coworker, could be a family member, could be whoever. And for some reason, you entangle with that person. When that's a real word, it's a real concept. And what I mean by entanglement is that your vibration entangles with their vibration. So in this case, red would be 2 hertz, 5 would be blue, 5 hertz. 5 hertz and 2 hertz entangle. Here's the key. The degree of the intensity of the higher, of the vibration will win. So the one that's more intense is the one that will take over your energetic state. So let's say that this one person is more in a negative state, that you are in an appreciative state. And because of that intensity, you now are in a negative state. My question to you is, why would you ever choose to be around people that puts you in a negative state? And the reason I say that is because now that you're in a negative state, you went from 5 hertz down to 2 hertz. Your total timeline and what's possible for your life has completely shifted and is giving you completely different options now because of your vibration. You've got to remember that your vibration is what creates your reality. And the possibilities and the opportunities and the path that shows up in your life is going to be, number one, driven by these frequencies. Now, these frequencies are based on how you feel, how you act, and how you think. But if you interact, if you're in a great place, you're at 5 hertz, and you interact with someone who's in a negative state, and that negative intensity overwhelms that positive feeling that you have, well, now you're going to be in a negative state, and now you've changed your timeline. You've completely shifted it, which gives you a whole new set of choices, perceptions, and options for your life in terms of what you do and what actions you take. So what do we do? Well, there's 2 things I want to share with you that I've done with my life, because I'm very sensitive to people's sounds and to feelings of other people, and this is what I think will make all the difference. The first thing is, you have to ask yourself, does it make sense to consent to negative people, negative experiences in your life? Because if you keep consenting, you allow it to happen, then what happens is it puts you in a negative state. And if it puts you in a negative state, you change your timeline, which changes your choices and your path in this life. So at some point you have to realize is that if you really want to have your dreams and what you want for your life, you don't want to have an amazing life, then embrace that all people are different and there's some people that are just negative. These people are just less evolved than you are, because if they were more evolved, they would not choose to be in this state, because this state creates a certain timeline with certain limitations, certain restrictions, and limited number of choices. Okay? Now let me give you an example of that. You know the people that are getting the jab? They're getting the medicine? Those people are acknowledging and consenting to a certain timeline. And because they're doing that, they're going to get certain choices and they're going to get a certain path forward. Okay? The more you consent to this, the more it changes your vibration. The more you changes your vibration, the more it changes your timeline and where you're going to end up. Okay? Now, the other thing that can happen is you say, Steve, you know what? I go in a negative state. That's okay. I can manage it myself. I'll just do my meditations and affirmations and I'll get back into this higher frequency vibration. Well, for some people, that can take a lot of work. It can take hours, days, years because of that one interaction. The key thing is to remember is that whichever vibration is more intense is going to entangle with that vibration and give you a result. Now, it's possible that if you go, and I'm going to show you this because you don't have to totally avoid these people, although that might be a choice for you. You might want to choose to not associate with certain people. I had a buddy that, this is over 10 years ago. He would always call me and complain. He always had excuses. And I said to him, dude, if you keep calling me and complaining every time you call, I'm not going to want to talk to you anymore. Why don't you call and tell me about what's working and what's good in your life? And he literally stopped calling me. So what I did was I basically set a boundary. And then because I set that boundary, he got it that I wasn't going to consent to condone his behavior anymore. And he stopped calling me. You might have to do that with some people in your life. Okay? For other people, you might have to move away from the people that are these negative people in your life. Some of them might be family. Some of them might be friends. Okay? So you really got to think about this. If you condone this type of behavior, what happens is it can put you in a positive or negative state. For most people, they're not intentional with their behaviors. They're going in and they're like, oh, I'm feeling great. And then they see someone negative, they sense it, but they condone it and they stay there. And then those two vibrations entangle, right? This is the vibrations entangling. And now you get this negative state, which we'll call 2 hertz, which affects the timeline that you're on. So what are your options? Okay. Another option is when you go into these, so for example, okay, if you have negative people that are in your family and they're just, generally pessimistic, or maybe they don't agree with all your ideologies, okay? You go into that conversation in a good state, what will happen is even though they're in a negative state, because you're feeling a more intense positive vibration, you entangle with them and all of a sudden they become entangled and become 5 hertz. That's also a possibility. But it takes training and discipline to get in that state so that you can intermingle with these types of people. I'm not saying it's not possible, it's just not ideal for most people. What's ideal is to avoid these types of people, okay? And the way that you can do that is to realize that someone who's in this state is just less evolved than you are. You don't know that they might have only been, if you believe in reincarnation, this person in your life may have only been around on this planet 2 or 3 times. It's like their first barbecue. They don't know that they have technology inside of them to connect with the divine. They don't realize that their feelings and vibrations determine their timeline, perceptions, and behaviors. They're just not there. They're not that connected. If you've been here 100 times or 1,000 times and you're an evolved old soul, and you know that your feelings are important, and if you watch my channel, you probably do believe that, then why would you ever consent to those negative people and put up with them so that you put yourself in a negative state, not a positive state, right? Why would you ever consent to that? Why would you ever agree to that? An evolved soul, an old soul would never do that because they know that the way they feel drives the way they see, their perceptions. And the way they see determines what behaviors, actions they take, and what timeline and the path forward for their life. So it's a big deal. So what do? You just got to realize that these people are just less evolved. It doesn't mean that they're less than you. Send them love, send them appreciation, but let them know that you're not going to condone excuses. You're not going to condone negativity all the time. You're not going to condone your behavior. If it's someone you're married to, maybe you shouldn't be married to them anymore. Why are you putting up with that? Why are you consenting to that? You deserve better. You don't need to live in fear all your life. That's what these people do. They live in their fear. They live in worry. They live in frustration. You don't have to live there. If you condone it, you will live there because they're going to entangle with your vibration. But if you don't condone it, you don't entangle. And if you don't entangle, now you're back at 5D. Okay? So I hope this is helpful to you to realize that it's really about you honoring your life, not the lives of others, especially if they're in a negative state. Can you help people like this? Sure you can, but only if you maintain your 5D state. Because anytime you entangle, just remember, there's a risk that's going to bring your vibration down and you're going to feel worse after that conversation or after that phone call, regardless if it's someone in your family or a close friend. Okay? So it's about consent. Don't consent to the negative unless you want to become negative. Consent to your higher self. Consent to 5D. Consent to knowing that the higher your vibration, the new timeline that you get, and that new timeline determines the choices and the free will. And at the end of the day, you get free will to choose to be with these people or not. If you are going to be around them, don't consent. Okay? And then the second thing is realize is that, like I said, you've probably been on the planet a little bit longer. You've been here a few times. This is not your first kick at the can. You realize that, the way you feel and the technology in your body does change matter. It changes your biology, your chemistry. And because it's making all those changes, being in their presence also changes your biology and your chemistry in a negative way. Okay? So it's up to you to make the choice. I hope you found this useful and helpful. If you did, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Or give me a like, give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're in a place where you have a lot of either worry, fear that's controlling you and driving your timeline at this lower frequency, and you know it and you just feel stuck and you can't get out of it, then I'd be happy to help you get to this higher frequency. I needed someone to do it for me when about 11 years ago when I started these meditations, to let go of these blocks. And sometimes that's all we need, is we need someone at a higher vibration to help us get through it. If you're interested in that, there's a link below to my calendar. It's called the Clearing Session Energy Block Session. You can book it. It's 30 minutes on the call. Basically, we'll jump on there and I will find out where your blocks are, and then I will tell you on the call if I can help you clear them. And if we can, and you want to do that, I'll share the pricing, how it works, and then we can proceed from there. Anyways, if you're interested in that, there's a link below to that, and I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks for watching again, and we'll talk to you next time.